As we mentioned last night toward the very end of the show, the results are in from the Republican National Convention, and Ron Paul did not win. Of course, that might have something to do with, or it might be a factor that there were all manner of shenanigans, for lack of a better term, going on at the Republican National Convention. Rules were changed at the last minute. Delegates were undelegated and replaced with Romneyites at the last minute. And they rearranged the rules. So as I understand it, the Republican National Committee could just go ahead and arbitrarily make decisions without having to ask the full convention.
Who'd want that? I mean,
decide on it. And now there's another update from Examiner.com. This story coming out yesterday from Tampa in what could only be called a civil war within the GOP. The Republican establishment pulled out all the stops to limit or remove any reference to second-place finisher and Texas Congressman Ron Paul. When the establishment controlled...
He's being disappeared.
Yeah. When the establishment-controlled Rules Committee changed the rules at the last second to take nominating votes away from Ron Paul, a number of his delegates walked out of the convention in protest. Ron Paul supporters knew something was afoul.
Not much else they could do.
Right off the bat when state-by-state seating arrangements were revealed. Important states like Massachusetts and Michigan were put in the front row. While both are dominated by the Democratic Party, they're also the current and boyhood home of Republican nominee Mitt Romney. Where were the states that supported Ron Paul in the primary seated? You guessed it. In the very back, right up against the exits. The nosebleed section, as CNN's Aaron Burnett put it on Monday night. So, trying to marginalize them by their physical position in the location and all manner of other rule tweaking and such. On Sunday night at midnight, frantic and panicked posts began appearing throughout Ron Paul's social media pages. Word had begun spreading, rightly or wrongly, that the Romney-backed GOP leadership was tricking Ron Paul delegates out of their rightful voting spots. It's a trick. It's a lie, one post by a Ron Paul delegate warned. Don't listen to the party officials. They're trying to trick you out of your convention credentials, another advised. The worry was over the announcement by Republican Party officials that the convention was canceled for Monday and would instead begin on Tuesday. While that was true of the events that would have been shown on national TV, it was actually not 100% accurate. Well, the media was reporting that as though what was going on was there was going to be nothing on Monday due to the hurricane.
Right, they certainly were.
And we had reported that. So according to this, the trick, as described by the supporters, was that the party was telling Ron Paul delegates not to show up until Tuesday, when in reality, delegate credentialing on Monday had not been canceled, and any Ron Paul delegate that failed to register on Monday would be replaced by an alternate delegate, loyal to Mitt Romney.
So the people, the ones they didn't want to replace that were, say, loyal to Mitt Romney, if they didn't show up and they didn't register, that's fine. They can just say, oh yeah, you can just go through, but
sure.
The ones that didn't, they couldn't necessarily. I see. Even
before the Republican convention began, it was apparent that the GOP's number one priority wasn't to promote the Republican Party or Mitt Romney. It was to promote Mitt Romney as the unified nominee. When the Monday events were canceled due to hurricane threats, one of the first things to be pulled from the itinerary was the planned tribute to Ron Paul. When the national media announced which days and nights it would cover on live network television, GOP officials immediately shuffled their events around. One of the more bizarre changes was to move the actual delegate voting from the end of the convention and primetime network television to the very first day and only on C-SPAN. So that's the clarification on something we had I'd asked about the other night. It was because we'd heard that they'd moved the schedule so TV wouldn't be covering the that portion of it, the whatever they call that, the delegate voting. And that it ended up on C-SPAN, so I wondered what that meant. And, well, that it did mean that the national television was not covering the delegate voting, so that part didn't happen. It only happened on C-SPAN, which means only political junkies saw that particular portion.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I watched C-SPAN.
What is wrong with presenting an ununified front?
This is what I asked last night. I just don't understand.
I don't either. I really just don't. If this is a legitimate process, they shouldn't need to pull shenanigans like this.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
it's clearly not legitimate.
I guess the suggestion is that after the primary process, which was clearly not unified,
right,
that we have all come to the conclusion that the very best candidate, after our candidates lost, we came to the conclusion the very best candidate is Mitt Romney. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Mitt Romney.
Yeah, well, it's common amongst politics to make it appear as though the entirety of the party is behind our man because they're going up against the evil Barack Obama, and they're so different, Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, or at least that's what they want you to believe. How it is you're going to end up believing that if you're paying any attention, I don't know.
You can't get away from the advertising. I think it's just surprising because I haven't had a television set in probably 4 or 5 years now. I haven't had cable, but even still, and I've got all my ads blocked on the internet, and still, they are able to get to me.
I've never seen it.
I can't imagine like how much money they are throwing at reaching everyone.
Probably millions, if not billions of dollars. So back to the story here. Again, they did not cover the delegate voting on national television because the Republicans moved the time and the date of the delegate voting to avoid national television. According to many of the rumors swirling around the convention
floor. Which can't be good, right? Like, I mean, I'll bet the Democrats don't move make sure that their voting is nationally televised, right? Even if some of them come in for different people.
Honestly, I don't know what the Democrats do. Obviously, the level of attention is not at the same peak for them.
I remember 2008, and they had live coverage of the voting.
Okay.
I don't remember whether it was the Republicans. I think it was the Republicans that I might have been paying attention to at the time. But, I mean, to show that to not have live coverage of your voting shows the weakest position possible.
I would think if the Democrats had a challenger like a Ron Paul in their race, they would do something similar.
It's only a weak position.
Politics is politics. I mean, they're all scum. So back to the
Romney
rumors.
was going to win. Why didn't they? Unless they were worried about Romney winning, why would they not show the voting?
They don't want anyone to know that Ron Paul has support.
That's pretty obvious. They don't. I mean, there's an LA Times story that came out on this.
Right.
So they failed miserably. They did the opposite of what they hoped to achieve. Could they possibly have imagined that wasn't going to happen?
Well, not everybody reads the LA Times.
What?
Not everybody reads the LA Times.
Well, everybody who gives a flying crap about what happens at the Republican National Convention, I mean, a large percentage of them are going to read major newspapers out there, and there are many major newspapers that carry the LA Times
story.
So
what did they have to say about it?
Basically, that the Paul people, what you're talking about, that they couldn't cover it, the Paul people stormed out, that kind of thing.
According to many rumors swirling around the convention floor, it was because the party was afraid of what the various pro-Paul delegation chairs would say while announcing their state's votes. As readers may remember, this is part of the convention where each state approaches the microphone one at a time and begins with something like, "The proud and humble strawberry state with the largest national monument and the most ice cube exports in the nation proudly casts 8 of its 12 votes for Mitt Romney and 4 of its votes for the defender of liberty and the most honest man in American politics, Ron Paul." Of course, that was merely a fictitious example of a state casting its votes, but it's exactly what the GOP establishment refused to let appear on national network television. Many longtime Ron Paul supporters weren't surprised. According to them, the establishment has been blacking out Ron Paul for 2.5 decades, so why would they give him the spotlight now? More about the shenanigans happening at the RNC here in moments, and maybe you were on the ground and you know what happened. You want to explain it to us? You're welcome to share your experience here at 855-450-3733, 1-855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves. This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want. 855-450-FREE. That's the SACL CAI toll-free line. 1-855-450-3733. You can join us on our website. Head over to freetalklive.com. Enjoy the various features that you'll find there. They are all completely free. Once again, that's freetalklive.com. And with you here tonight, it's Ian,
Nemi,
and Mark.
Hey, some of those features include our bulletin board system, where you can get interactive with other Free Talk Live listeners. Just go to bbs.freetalklive.com. That's bbs.freetalklive.com. Like everything else on the site, we give it away, so enjoy. All right, so also you need to know about the Free State Project, especially if you're upset with what's going on with, or what happened, because I guess it's over now, with the Ron Paul revolution. And what happened at the Republican National Committee, or convention, rather, over the weekend. And actually, I guess it's still going on now.
I'm not sure the Ron Paul revolution is over. I think a lot of people are going to be involved in their local and
yeah, but you
state.
Said he's done, right? Like, this is his last...
That's his claim, and I think so.
Right. So it's no longer the Ron Paul revolution. He's done. He's retiring, right? unless they can convince him to come back around in another 4 years, he's thrown in the towel. So, good. If you think you can make a difference in the Republican Party, I wish you the best. How you can think that after what happened at the Republican National Committee, you must be delusional, because it's clear that these people are very comfortable with their positions of power and are going to stop at nothing to prevent you from taking it from them.
There's been lots of changes that have existed over the past 200 and something years, and there's you have no indication there's not going to be some level of change that can be brought in the Republican Party.
I'd love to be
something that's good enough for you and I? No, nothing's ever going to be good enough. If Ron Paul would have been elected president of the United States, you can believe on January 21st we would have found something bad about what he did, and we would have reported it here on Free Talk Live, because that's what we do. Thus, always to tyrants. But he would have been a lot better than what we're going to get on January 20th. But that's not
happening, so let's talk about reality. And the reality is you have absolutely no chance of affecting this. It's ridiculous to believe that you do. I mean, just look at what these people are doing. Look at the desperation and the backhanded and underhanded tactics.
The fact that they have desperation and they have to use underhanded tactics does show that you have some level of control.
It shows that they're nervous. It shows that they are pathetic and that they're threatened. I get it. They're backed into. They feel like they're probably backed into a corner. They're doing some really pathetic, desperate things, but it's working.
I don't know.
I mean, they're in charge. It's their rules. It's their organization, and they'll do whatever they can to keep you out.
I don't know if it's pathetic or desperate. It's just it's petty, is what it is.
It's certainly that. So we're going over a list of things that have happened at the the Republican National Convention here, as according to the folks who are actually there. But I wanted to remind you, if you are somebody who was really excited about Ron Paul, maybe you just got into Ron Paul this year, maybe you didn't know about him in 2008, and now or at least maybe not right now, maybe in the next few days, it's going to start to hit you like a wave. You'll start to feel things that you haven't felt before, like listless, hopeless, upset, angry, hateful. These are possible emotions that you might be going through.
It's not like all of the two of us. I don't know, Nemi, if your involvement in political campaigns and what it's like when you're on the losing side, but that's what it's like. A lot of people put a lot of energy into the Ron Paul campaign.
A lot of money too.
A lot of money and a lot of energy, unlike they have before. By the way, I put money and energy into the Ron Paul campaign.
Me too.
I understand, because I think that his message was really important. I didn't think he was going to win in 2012, and it's not that I was rooting for that. I was rooting for just the opposite. But that I knew what happened in 2008. I didn't expect him to make it in 2012. But I think that it's worthy to go out there and spread the message, and it's worthy to be involved in the political process in that way. But it feels bad at the end of it all.
It feels disgusting.
Feels awful.
Yeah. I have not worked in political campaigns. I kind of washed my hands of the whole thing, Mark. I know you've done quite a bit of work, but I did contribute to the Ron Paul campaign this year. And it's disappointing to me, but on the flip side, too, it is there is some success because the message of liberty is getting out.
That's why I donated. I didn't donate with the expectation that Ron Paul was going to win. I donated with the expectation that he was going to talk about liberty and do it in public and do it a lot.
Yeah.
And that means something to me.
Some name recognition and some pretty powerful advertising as well.
So one of the things that Ron Paul has done in the past is endorse the Free State Project, because he knows it's a good idea to get people of a liberty mindset together. You want to have a chance at taking over the Republican or Democratic parties? You've got to have concentration. You've got to have numbers to overwhelm the old guard and to frustrate them to the point where they give up and go somewhere else, or just give up. And that's something that we can do here in New Hampshire. It's something that's being done here in New Hampshire with over 1,000 people here now as part of the Free State Project. That doesn't count all the wonderful New Hampshire natives like Nemi,
thank you,
who have been living here their whole lives, or a good portion of their lives, who are also liberty-minded and are willing to get active. So we've got over 12,500 people that have signed up for the Free State Project, who have pledged to make the move to New Hampshire. If you want to know what's next after Ron Paul, it's not some new national messiah. It's not some new national savior that's some candidate, some political candidate that's going to come around and save you from the Republicans and the Democrats.
That plum that is Washington, D.C., The seat of power in the world is just too juicy, just too tempting to the sociopaths that would be involved in politics. When you're talking about a smaller state government, a smaller state and its state government, it's not as tempting. But certainly the corruption's still there. However, when you're talking about New Hampshire, where there are 400 representatives, as opposed to your state, which probably has 40 or something like that, 400 representatives, and lobbyists have to wear a big orange emblem on themselves. It's also been rated the freest state in America the 2 times the Mercatus Center has done such a rating. Yeah, we got a leg up. New Hampshire cut almost 12% from its budget last year. What'd your state cut?
Indeed. So
Nothing.
Go to freestateproject.org, learn more about the Free State Project. There's some forums there. Get interactive with the people that are already involved. Ask all the questions you need to ask. You'll get the answers you're looking for. And find out about why the Free State Project is the only logical choice for anybody that actually wants to achieve liberty in our lifetime. If you want to keep battling futilely in national politics with the Republican and Democratic parties and trying to somehow win some sort of influence there, so in 50 years you might be able to get a candidate nominated somehow, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a fantasy. It's a pipe dream. You're welcome to keep banging your head up against that wall, but when you're ready to actually win in politics, move to New Hampshire, because you can win a political race here without really spending any significant amount of money. The New Hampshire representative districts are very small. There are only a few thousand people in each district, and it doesn't take – you could literally do a house-to-house campaign in the average New Hampshire rep district. Politics is winnable, and it has been won here in New Hampshire, and more people will win as more people who love liberty get here. So go to freestateproject.org.